Hey guys, welcome back to the Girlfriends and Goals podcast. My name is Samaria and I'm joined by my best friend and co host.
Neosha.
And we're reviewing Love is Blind season 9, episodes 10 and 11 today. So if you've been following along
hmm
with this season and you're not subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We're
hmm
like 7 away from 8,000.
Yep.
Also, like this video and meet us in the comments because we need to hear different perspectives on these episodes. All right,
hmm
let's start with Nick and Annie.
Because we were asking last week, like, who do we think is gonna make it to the end or
Yeah.
not? And yeah, these it picks up with them chatting after the rodeo.
Mhm.
And what's interesting is that you can kind of tell that Annie's in her feelings. I think she's also had a lot to drink, and she was asking him, okay, well, how did your conversation go with Kate? He said, oh, we just talked about the breakup and she took it well. I
Yeah.
thought she was going to press more about
What they
what
talked
that
about.
conversation was, but then
Yeah.
she pivots to needing more assurance and telling him that he doesn't love her.
You
I
know,
thought she was going to address her giving him the cold shoulder at the rodeo.
it was not even discussed. Like, he didn't even bring it up. I'm like, okay, are we just going to act like that didn't happen? But some people have been commenting online about Annie's alcohol alcohol intake
Mm.
because there's been a lot of focus on another cast member and his alcohol intake.
hmm
But someone else is like, we don't need to we don't need to be looking at him. We need to be looking at her. And maybe I didn't see it as much. I think I just thought that was her personality. Like, that's just who she is as a human. So it never crossed my mind like, oh no, she's throwing a few back.
Well, I think it's because when we get these disheveled looking scenes of her, it's on the heels of
Yeah.
a get together. They've been socially drinking.
Yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah.
nothing has been said about, I guess, her drinking in other times. So
Yeah.
maybe it hasn't been as jarring as like, oh, they just came from the rodeo party. They were all drinking, or they were in
Right.
Cabo or wherever they were and they were all drinking. So yeah, she says she needs reassurance. He looks so confused. He's like, "What?
Where is
What
this
is?"
coming from? I also was confused, but then I think you can always tell when someone's into you or when someone's not into you. And so I think that's where this is
Mm,
coming from, right? Like, it's always, no matter what the conversation is about, it's always lurking in the background that I'm more into him than he is into me.
But is she more into him? I think she's more into being married
Married.
than being into
I can
him.
see that.
So, under your logic, I agree. If you sense something, yes, but I don't
Yeah.
know. Neither one of them really seem to be into each other. There's a lot of I love yous
Yeah.
and not enough substance.
And he tried to say that there is substance. Like, he talked about how, okay, I've like taken time away from my work to make sure that you're set up at your salon. Like, I've done things to
hmm
show you that I love you. And so his perspective is, I'm confused about why you don't think I love you. Um,
hmm
yeah, I think I think she just needs to trust her intuition and leave. Like, if instead of saying stuff like, oh, you're exactly who I want to be with, or trying to get that reassurance from him that he really can't give her, like, it seems like there's an itch that he can't quite scratch for her. I think she just needs to understand that she has options as an adult and she
hmm
does not have to stay.
Yeah, he's saying all the right things,
Yeah.
but she was also doing the same thing to Brendan too. Oh, you're not. I mean, he wasn't giving a whole lot either,
Maybe she
but
attracts, actually, no, I don't want to say that because it's, you can't control who you attract, really. Like, it's not your,
mm,
I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't know the logic
but
behind
with
it.
her, I don't know. It's not a good analysis because of who we've seen her be paired with. I wonder if she like this in general and needing so much reassurance. So either way, the next morning they're at the apartment. I think everyone is sobered up. She admits that she drank too much and it really wasn't her. He tells her that it reminds him of her behavior in Cabo and that it wasn't going to happen again.
Y- You know, and at this point, I started to see what she was saying.
Mm.
She was saying, whenever I talk to you about the future, you don't necessarily have a plan that sounds like I'm included, or a plan that suggests we're together. And that's making her
Mm.
anxious. But that's a telltale sign. Like, if he's talking about a future that doesn't include you, or when you try to include yourself in his future, he doesn't really have a plan, but when it comes to other things, he seems to be Mr. I have a plan for everything, then, those are not so subtle signs. So I started to see what she was saying,
Mm.
but I also understand why that was a breaking point for him.
Yeah, because it's the timing of the conversations too. If you're waiting to have these conversations when you've been drinking and you're having a meltdown, essentially. And I also feel like even the way she's communicating it, I could see why he's being driven crazy because he's like, you keep saying I don't love you. You keep saying you don't think I'm in. She's being extremely vague. And so vagueness plus the alcohol.
Will say though, with Nick, when he's ready to dip, it doesn't take much. So, like we saw that with Kate, where
It's
he
over.
is completely shocked by something that she spoke in clear English previously, where she
Mm-mm-mm.
said, the religion thing isn't really my thing, whatever. And then later on, he's so floored that it's not a thing for her. You were just ready to be done with it, I think. And the person you were with gave you good reason.
Oh yes, I don't. They're not each other's person, and I
Yeah.
think her behavior, I think, gave him the extra push. To be honest, I could have seen him making it to the altar if she held it together a bit more.
Hmm.
Not that I would have thought they would have worked out or that he would have even said yes, but I could have seen him going through the rest of the process with her.
What did you think about her rebuttal when he was trying to break up with her? Because I felt like there was quite a bit of pushback and convincing.
Oh yeah, it was almost begging because I don't think she went into that conversation thinking he was going to break up with her. She
And
was
yeah,
smiling,
yeah,
laughing. The expression on her face gave nothing of I think this is the end
yeah.
conversation.
It was
I
more
was
like,
like,
oh,
dang.
last night got crazy, didn't it?
Meanwhile, he looking there just like, girl, this is over. And so I think there was a lot of pushback because she was one caught off guard. Two, in her mind, her behavior wasn't that bad. Oh, I was just having a meltdown, or, it wasn't that crazy to her. But I think for him, she didn't expect him to stand on business.
He has his faults, but he is
Oh,
definitely going to stand on business. Like, he's not going to drag anybody through anything for too long,
mm-mm.
as much as he's disliked, and definitely aware of the cameras and strategic. I think he's also very direct.
Oh yeah, what did he tell her? Well, how long is this gonna go on for? Like, girl, I already told you what it is.
She
And
said,
what
"I
did
don't
she
want,
say?
I
I
don't
don't
want
want
you to
to.
tell me no right now."
Yeah, I don't want you to tell. Girl, what do you mean?
Yeah.
He's sick of it.
And she said something that I think a lot of people in regular dating situations say, like, oh, well, you value this and I value this, so then that means we can work through whatever. And I don't always think that's the case. Like, you might value marriage and he might value marriage, but that doesn't mean that you guys are compatible enough to make a marriage work between the two of you. You can
Mm-hmm.
value marriage and still he not be your person. And so that's something that I heard her say that struck me. Also, when he says, Annie, you can't make 1 + 1 = 3. And she says, watch me.
She
I
just
knew we
wanted
had
to be
lost my
married.
sister. I said, we
E-
lost her.
Even when she was like, "Oh, Nick, you do everything great. You know, you're into all these hobbies. You have a great career."
Yes,
I
yes.
think she saw herself as the perfect another perfect piece of the puzzle because from what we can see, you know, he has his faults. He has his life together. He seems to be well-rounded in his interests and abilities. He's handy. So I think she thought, "Oh, all this looks great on paper. I
Yeah.
could fit into your life. I wouldn't be too much work." But he
And the
don't want her
parents
type
said
of
it too. She could
yeah,
fit
he don't
into
want
our
her type of
family.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I will say he was direct about telling her just I am unhappy. And I believe that. I believe it. He was unhappy.
Yeah. She said, just be in it and love me. Like, just try. Just try. And I see what he's saying. Like, there's only so much you can reassure somebody who doesn't think you love. Like, okay, girl, I said I love you. I put you on my schedule. I got you. I don't know if he got her gifts, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
there's only so much you can do. Uh,
And it's within a short period of time. You know, so the Cabo thing happened. Ideally in the real world, if it's only been a week or two and you're exhibiting the same similar behavior, that's
uh,
not enough time. It's way too fresh. So you can't maybe get away, so to speak, with the same things that you would normally be able to do. He just told you this last week. You just reoffended. Girl,
gotta give it a few months. Yeah, yeah. Get past the altar, and then you can. Yeah. Let me stop. We're not encouraging people to not work on their faults.
but yeah, he's literally like, I just told you this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyways,
So
he
let's
works
see
it
what
off with
keeps them
her,
happy.
and
Yeah.
I think ultimately she also has zero accountability. So,
Oh, we saw it with Brittany. Like, we saw it. I don't know. I'm all for being delusional in certain aspects of your life, like career and goals, ambition, whatever. But in love, I don't think you should be delusional at all. I think you need to be whatever the opposite of delusional is. Lean into that heavy.
yeah. And kudos to him for not dragging this to the point where his family is there on the wedding day. This is so clear. And I can imagine if this is all the footage we have, they actually have made it to the altar. If I were
Mhm.
the part of the family, I'd be irritated. It was going like this and you still had us show up.
In my cute dress.
A waste of time.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Okay. So and
all
then
right.
they start packing.
Yeah.
So okay, one down. Did we say we didn't say they were gonna work, but I think we thought they might get to the altar.
I thought that they would get to the altar,
And he would
but
say no. That's
yeah,
fine.
he said not on my watch. He said the wedding is not something that would make me happy.
Wait, I forgot he said that. That
Just stone cold. His facial expression didn't even move. The wedding is not something that I think of and it would make me happy.
that is so wild to say to somebody actually. Anyway, Allie and Anton, do you want to do them next?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So Allie and Anton, Allie, they have this scene where she's kind of tracking the drinks in the home.
Oh, yeah. So this is after the party. They're gonna have a nightcap at home. I think.
Mhm.
Okay. And then she found out there's nothing left or one left.
Pretty much. And the way that he had to dodge, like this was the episode where she was like, okay, where did all the beers go? Like she had
Mhm.
four, and I guess it was a pack of 12.
Yeah. Okay.
And so they said the numbers. I think it was
Okay.
four. And so she's like, wait, where did the rest of them go? And he was like, oh, like, I had them. And then Patrick came. And she was like, oh, Patrick was in our apartment. He said, no. And she's like, so where did y'all have the drinks? He said,
Mhm.
I took one down for him and then one down for me.
Mhm.
Okay, so if Patrick did have one, then that means you have had five. Wait,
Mhm.
no, that math doesn't math. So
So
she had
4.
four and there would have been eight left. So then he would have had seven, and
Mhm.
Patrick would have had one. So that is,
Yeah.
I don't know what the ratio of like person to drink is, but clearly
Mhm.
Allie has in mind what it is not.
Yeah.
And so she's like, pushing for what's okay for her.
Yeah, so she also expresses that, this is a concern for her. Um, and he essentially says, like, okay, well, what would be too much? Or, you drink as well. So I felt in this scene, I would have liked for her to just be more clear and direct around
Yeah.
what her expectations are as far as alcohol consumption. It
Yeah.
felt like a lot of probing, but then she was like, oh, well, don't change for me. And it's like, well, that's not how relationships work. The topic at hand is alcohol, but it
Yeah.
could be any other random thing where you may want to be aligned on, and to
Like her
expect,
cleaning.
right, and to expect that, oh, well, I'm just not going to have a conversation about it. Well, you could just scratch off a lot of people because you may not magically align on everything. So I could appreciate him saying, well, tell me what it is. What exactly is the problem? How much is too much? And then he seemed to be open to potentially navigating what that consumption would be for him going forward. But because she never said, she was just frustrated.
Yeah, I don't know about his response
Well, when he was lying,
because
I think he seemed to be lying.
yeah, like, okay, it does seem a lot to say, okay, well, then I won't drink for the next 2 weeks. Okay, I, you watch these shows where they say, oh, a typical response from someone who struggles with alcohol would be, oh, well,
Mhm.
then I could stop at any time. It was giving
Mhm.
that a little bit to me, but I don't know. Like I don't live with Anton, so I don't know
Yeah.
realistically like what is going on. But
Yeah.
his response kind of struck me as that.
Yeah. And he was saying that, oh, it's not a pattern. And
Yeah.
I just think it's one of those things where he looks at it as we both drink. I may drink a bit more than you. Now we're kind of going tit for tat of who drank what, when he's clearly not being as forthcoming because he's sensing that it's a problem for you. But if you're
Absolutely.
but if you're going to open that, like, open it all the way so that you can even see if there's a possibility for y'all to be aligned, so that
Yeah.
he's not walking on eggshells and then you're not frustrated about what he's doing, but then you're still not saying, what's making it a problem. Is it the amount? Is it the time? Is it his behavior while he's drinking? You need to really open the door on
Yeah, yeah.
why you need to align in this particular area.
Because it doesn't seem to be his behavior. It seems like he manages himself well. But it was funny
Mhm.
to me, and not funny like haha, but
Mhm.
interesting to me when she was like, "Why are you being like this?" I said, "Girl, because he feels attacked." you know,
Mhm. And he was like,
like
"Oh, well, you drank more than I did tonight. Like, I'm
yeah,
not tripping about it." And
yeah,
so I could see where for him, he doesn't he whether he has a problem or not, I think he just doesn't know enough information about what is making it a problem.
yeah.
And then
Hmm.
I think from her perspective, if you've done asked enough probing questions on the quantity, you've already opened the door slightly. So now he's uncomfortable. So be fair to him and say exactly why.
What's going on? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's fair. And then later on, they meet Anton's mom.
Hmm.
Was Anton hungry? Because like I feel like the way he was chowing down on that
I
sandwich.
said, do I need to get that sandwich? What is going
Okay,
on?
Anton, where did you get it? We'll go and buy it.
But I wonder if he works nights. Like, was he getting off
In the
work? So
morning.
maybe he was
Yeah.
hungry. He
Girl,
said,
he
"Y'all
was like,
talk. I've been at work."
okay, I'm gonna get back to my sandwich. But
Hmm.
yeah, so she
Oh,
was
oh, oh, oh. One thing. So once again, Netflix, this whole strip club conversation and him being a party boy, even up until this point, does not come up. So
nope.
we've pivoted to potentially alcohol being the problem
Hmm.
and the lifestyle strip clubs. What happened of that? We don't know.
And you know what bothers me about the fact that, and I think I put this in the note for later when we're talking
Hmm.
about one of the other couples. We're seeing certain couples really go head to head with certain issues. And it just makes me wonder why are we seeing so many arguments with this couple when there are other people who we're missing information from? Like, are y'all deciding whose business gets put out on Front Street and who to
Hmm.
protect? Like, is somebody
Okay.
about to go to Perfect Match and that's why y'all are doing like it just Makes one think.
And because we know two couples don't even make it to the altar. So it's like, why follow their storylines and give them as much footage this far into the process when Anton and Allie, up until this point, would have made it to the wedding day?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we just don't know a
And I
whole
don't want
lot.
to see footage at the reunion. That's not what the
Yeah.
reunion is for. Show it to me during the
Mhm.
season.
Yeah. So, anyways, sorry. His mom comes over. He's
Mhm.
tearing up that sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His mom says, he's ready to start and maintain a family.
Hmm.
Um, I think this was when we got to hear more about what Anton does, like this episode, right? Did he say
Yeah.
something about real estate and he does the training?
For the trucking,
Yeah.
and they both seem to align on these traditional
Hmm.
values, which I don't know. I want to hear more from Allie on this. Like, we heard from his mom, we hear from him,
Hmm.
even hear from her mom. I want to
Hmm.
hear from her. Like,
Yeah.
what what are your thoughts?
Because it's not cleaning, right? That's not one of the traditional values that.
Yeah, like yeah. So,
Yeah.
girl.
I think Anton is a work in progress, which we
Mhm.
all are. I just don't know if for where he is currently on his journey, Allie is down to be the partner for him, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah, so that I don't think it's a thing of oh, he's shady or he's a bad person or he's a this. Like I don't think that at all. I think he's just himself and he's on his journey. I don't know that she likes where he is on his journey. I don't know that she sees where he is right now as the starting point for her and her partner. Especially because like this is the best that she'll ever see him. Like once they are in a
Mm,
marriage, certain things start to unravel, whatever. If he's seeing her as someone who doesn't keep a tidy place, she's probably going to be worse when they're in a relationship, you
mhm,
know? And so I think for her, she might be considering, or she should consider like maybe he's just not where I would want my partner to be. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with him.
mhm.
I think, yeah, she should just say that and be honest
A-
with herself and him.
And they talk a lot about, oh, we have so much in common and in so many ways that we're similar.
Yeah.
But I don't know. When they're around each other, I don't
Hmm.
get as much romantic energy either anymore. I haven't really seen them kiss much.
Mm-mm.
And so I even wonder for him, is it just a thing of, okay, my career's in a place. I want to start my family. She's a beautiful woman and she's
Yeah.
ambitious, so she could fit right in.
Hmm.
But as far as the chemistry and the connection of them, I don't know that I've seen it since.
No, and I think the same thing I said about her, where she needs to consider where he is. I think he needs to consider her too, because if they're talking about having a family together, and
Hmm.
he would want this person to raise his kids, like, okay, is the tidying up thing something that they need to discuss? Like, is that actually an issue
Oh
for
yeah,
him?
the cooking, the running of the home,
Yeah.
like what are her expectations and his as well. And I'm not saying that you can't have a blend of some
Oh, for
traditional
sure.
values, like you
It
can,
doesn't have to
but
be one or the other extreme. Yeah.
right. But because they both keep saying that, I'm like, I don't know. Allie doesn't give me that. She's going back to school and she's investing in herself. And of course, she could always change her mind, but I'm just not getting the vibe that she's going to be the CEO of the household type of
Hmm.
vibe. In the way that his mom, even her mom, may be expecting. Because they all seem to be on the same page,
Hmm.
except for her. Like, she's just kind of quiet. Like, oh,
Hmm.
that's what y'all think.
We're not hearing much from her. I agree. I agree. All right. I think that's all I have on them.
Hmm.
And there's not much on Megan and Jordan this episode.
Yeah, so they meet his parents. They talk the vasectomy reversal. Okay, we get it. Uh, and then yeah, I think the meeting goes well. And Megan says in that meeting it would take something
Very
catastrophic.
catastrophic, yeah, for them to not get married. And the thing with Love is Blind is whenever they drop something like that or leave that in the edit, it usually there's something coming down the line. And so I'm like, what is gonna happen that
Because
is so?
he said something similar too, like, oh, like
Mhm.
later in the episodes, like, oh,
Yeah.
we're pretty much a yes unless something big happens.
Even even with like Anton and the drinking, right? So in the edit where Allie goes back and he's more worried about the champagne than he is about her. Like, they always drop little clues when they're trying to build a story.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
they
want to say
collect
against
all the
somebody
footage and then keep in what makes sense
for
for
later
the
storylines. So
storyline.
yeah, that kind of has me concerned about Jordan and Megan. But other than that, they seem like the most normal couple, which is
Yeah,
not something I ever saw myself saying.
and I'll say, given how much of a loving, involved dad that he is, I
Hmm.
don't envision him having her meet his son and going through, meeting the mom and all of that if he
For
was really
nothing.
not truly considering marrying her.
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
see that at this point. I would
Yeah, for
hope.
sure. For sure.
So, okay.
So then she gets to meet Luca, but we don't,
Yeah.
hear much about that this episode. All right. Calabria and Edmund.
Mm-hmm. The morning after, they're at the apartment and she's
It's, when it started, I wrote down, it starts with her giving a deep sigh. And so she said, why do I always have to be the one to bring up the elephant in the room? Which I don't think she is always the one to bring up the elephant in the room. Like, I've seen
And
him
anytime she's been in her feelings, he actually kind of rushes
to
to
address.
to address it, reassure her, apologize.
I tried last night several times and you wouldn't, you weren't receptive. And so I think she's like, well, after four or five things, I was just over it. Okay, so you agree. He does try to address the elephant in the room. It's just not when you want it to be, not when you're ready. And I'm sorry, if someone's gonna try to address something with you and you're
Hmm.
not ready, then it is your responsibility to bring it up when you are ready.
Oh yeah,
Because
circle
they try.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, to circle back on,
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm not ready right now. We can talk about this later. Well, you have to determine what later is.
Yeah. It's like, okay, girl, just say, hey, I'm ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
I think it's just a lack of communication and maybe emotional maturity a lot within this whole dynamic.
Hmm.
But they basically try to rehash the whole incident with him joking with Annie and Nick about Nick being perfect. He tells her it was a joke, but then she interjects and says, wait, I was actually already in my feelings. Let's tell the whole story.
Which I could feel. I could
And
understand.
And so the gist was that she had a busy packed day. She ran late, got behind. He was chilling, maybe had to get his hair cut, but he didn't have as much going on. She wanted him to jump in and help, pick up some stuff. He was like, "No, I want to rest, or I don't feel like doing it."
He said something about I don't want to be late.
Oh, I don't want to be late specifically. Yeah, you're right. And
Hmm.
so she gets home, she's upset because she hasn't eaten. And so that was the energy they were going into the rodeo party with. What do you think about her being upset about him not helping her or being able to catch her when she's falling?
I I think that was a valid everyday thing, right?
Okay.
Like, okay, I feel like I've been doing so much and I ask you to do one thing and you can't, like, I could see
Hmm.
that being a regular argument for people. I think though, I'm like, I wonder if this could have been resolved in some way. For example, okay, I know you don't want to be late for your haircut. What time is your haircut? On your way back from the haircut, could you stop and get stuff so that I
Hmm.
have one less thing to do? Or could it have been something that was planned in advance? Like, hey, we have the Western theme. So since you have a more flexible schedule during the day, can you be the one to pick it up? That way it's not, I don't know, a few minutes before his haircut or coming up against the barbershop, schedule that he has. I don't know.
Yeah, I think ultimately, yes, it should have been like you lighten your load ahead of time. I think asking people to do anything at the last minute, of course, it would be great if they could help you, but I don't think, and I think this would apply to your family, your partner, whoever, your friends. I think if someone, even if they were like, I want to rest before the social event. I don't know that it's something you'd be in your feelings about, feeling like, well, you don't support me and I'm in this all by myself. I think it would be like nice if they could. I would see a lack of support of, hey, I asked you ahead of time and then you said no. But I think having the expectation that every time you find yourself in a bind, that that person is going to pull through. I don't know. It can get tricky. I
Yeah.
don't think that that's something to be big in your feelings about
I
if
could
it's a
get
lack of planning.
I could get the frustration. I think once you've had a hard like once you've had something that makes your day like that send your day in a bad direction, I think it's just easy to irritate you and frustrate you, you know?
Hmm.
So it seemed like she was having one of those, just one of them days, you know,
Yeah.
where she it wasn't gonna take much to make her feel unsupported. And so that
Yeah.
was where I had maybe some understanding and some empathy for her. I'm like, okay, you're having a day where you
Hmm.
already feel like you're doing so much, and then this person, who has been chilling all day, how
Hmm.
like black parents, definitely like
Hmm.
African parents, like when they come home and they see you chill, like they hate to see you relaxing because they
Yeah.
probably worked a long day. So I think it was one of those things. So is it fair? Absolutely not. But I'll give a little grace because I think it's a very human moment.
Yeah. Well, I think unfortunately for her, she carried that energy into the party. And so Edmund, Nick, and Annie are over there having their own separate conversation.
Their business.
And even if that had happened earlier, the way she interjected herself into it still was not
Not,
right. And
not.
I feel like she still never took accountability for that at all.
Because she started that fight in public.
She was like, "Oh, well, it was embarrassing to me." And it's like, "No, girl.
Everybody heard and somebody had a reaction. I'm sorry, what happened? What happened to not caring what people think?
No," because she was like, "Wait, what did you say? What would be nice to be perfect?" He didn't lead with, "Oh, it would be nice for someone to compliment me." That's not what he said.
He didn't even lead with you could compliment me more. You literally squeezed it out of him like he was a lemon.
He was like, "Fine. It would be nice to hear something nice." And then the part where I was like, "Okay, you can feel how you feel,
Yeah.
but watch your words."
Yeah.
So then she even says in that moment where she was like, "Oh, it was embarrassing." And she also says like, "Oh, you know, I know you're not slow." Hey B, this is not how you talk to your partner.
Yes, I wouldn't
Not
even
even a
talk to.
friend.
Yeah, like this is not how you talk to any adult who you respect. Let's just get that out there. I think there is a you're not on my level
Oh,
attitude.
and we've been seeing that even from when she was interjecting herself in
Yeah,
conversations he was having in
in
Cabo.
Capo.
Oh, well, you don't say it like that. You don't do it like that.
Yeah. Like you're not the teacher. And so I it hurt me when he was like, "Oh, just say something nice. Just say something nice." And he's one of those people it seems where it's like, "Okay, you can criticize me. Like I understand there are things that need to be fixed, but I also need a balance of compliment." And I don't think the world owes people that. It would be nice, but if you're someone's partner, you better step into that role.
And even like his mannerisms as she's talking to him, he
Yeah.
kind of just goes blank face. You know, she's going in, kind of bullying him a bit into an apology.
Even when
And
he
he's not
chuckled, oh, it's funny.
right. And so I'm like, dang, this dude is on eggshells. He was one wrong turn, it's over.
Okay.
So in this moment, you know, I think she could have some valid concerns, but it's the delivery, it's some of the things that she's saying. I could even see myself laughing in a conversation like this just to reset my energy because I'm gonna have to laugh at the fact that you would say to me, "Oh, I know you're not slow." Excuse me.
Who are you talking to? Oh, you know that fight you wanted me to do in the club? I'm about to do it right here in this living room. Square up.
Yeah, so she's like bullying him into an apology, and he's asking her just to say something nice. Ultimately, I feel like she has no accountability. Um,
Even though that's what she's asking of him.
she's not into him, and I just wish she would just bow out at this point. This is extremely difficult to watch.
Yeah. Also, can I just say her retelling of the events that happened, I thought was really off. And I put down as unless the editing was just crazy different, that's not how we saw the
It's
story unfold at all. And
it's
so
not what happened.
yeah, and she's
The
stuck on
story is
her
what Edmund
own.
said.
Literally, it's what he said. And so I get where she's saying where it's like my feelings are hurt and if I tell you my feelings are hurt, the next thing I want to hear from you is an apology. I think, that's a completely valid feeling. There's nothing else in this conversation that I can agree with her
But
on.
when you're on eggshells, I will say, even up until this point, he does eventually apologize, I think. But
Yeah.
she he's apologized a few times in these
A
very short
couple.
episodes. So if
Yes.
he's ever at a point where it's like, I don't really think I did anything wrong, I'm sorry, we're inclined. I'm not going to believe that he's just a person who doesn't know how to apologize or.
Yes. Correct. Because this is not just a one off situation. Like we've seen enough
Mm-mm.
information. It's like, why am I always apologizing, especially when I don't think I have done anything wrong?
And in fact, when the parts where she has done something wrong,
Uh,
in this whole conversation, I was at least hoping for her because I was like, okay, you were frustrated from earlier in the day.
yeah.
I expected her to say, you know what, I shouldn't have jumped in that conversation,
Yeah.
and just at least acknowledge that at a
Child.
minimum.
At a minimum. So yeah.
Okay.
Anyway. So they oh gosh. They make up and apparently they're ready for kids. I think if they were a better match, I'd be happy that they made up. But because they're such a horrible match, I'm just like, oh dang, they're gonna keep dragging us. Golly, y'all made up again.
And, with Edmund, even in just watching their dynamic, I know at this point he's not going to break up with her. Even when he says, like, just say something nice, he just really, I think, wants to be loved for who
Mhm.
he is. And so I think he would fight to the bitter end, even if it is not healthy. Um, just for some reciprocate, like, some reciprocation or
Mhm.
have someone. All of his brothers have someone. So I don't even know that it's Calabria that he wants. I think he just really wants someone.
Someone. That's why he
Hmm.
was kissing the floor. Um, yeah, we gotta first of all, no more dating shows need to go back to Denver. Denver, I'm sorry.
It's over.
We're taking y'all off the dating show list. Married at First Sight was awful.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and this season of Love is Blind is terrible. Next year, y'all got to come with it. Love is Blind. This year has not been good for y'all.
Mm-mm.
All right,
Okay.
Joe and
Madison.
Madison, and
Yeah.
then we go into wedding shopping. All right, so they're at dinner, and she's like, oh, I just want to get up on you. I just want some snuggles. He said, we're at dinner, in in the driest way possible. We're at dinner.
Oh my gosh. This is another one that's hard to watch. So is this where they meet up with her family?
Yes.
And the energy was just chaotic and just this is one of the worst, I feel like, family meetings, other than like,
Really?
yeah. They
Why?
asked, what have you learned about Madison outside of the pause? This dude jumps out with, she's crazy. Oh, but in a good way. And the family kind of agrees. I'm
If
sorry, I haven't gotten crazy from her. I've gotten anxious, desperate
hmm.
energy from her. I don't know that she's
Mm.
crazy, but I've definitely gotten anxious energy. And I don't know if that's because she's just with someone who doesn't like her, which could be a thing, and desperate. Like she just really, really, really wants someone.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask you, Chelsea from whatever season that was, would you have put her in the category of crazy, or would you have also said anxious, insecure, whatever?
Anxious and insecure.
Okay, got you. Because
Yeah,
I
I
do
would.
think they're very comparable.
Yeah, anxious and insecure because it was another thing of physical attraction and her being in competition or comparison with what was the girl, Jessica? So it
Hmm.
was another thing around like physical attraction, and
Yeah,
whenever she would be in her feelings, she would be all crazy, but not in a she's doing crazy things. Her energy,
was a little wild. It was a
yes,
little
wow,
unhinged. That's what
yeah,
I get from it. Unhinged energy is what I get
yeah,
from
unhinged,
Madison. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So yeah, they're meeting with the family, and then he says, "Oh, she's crazy, but in a good way, very direct." Says, "Oh, we've been butting heads." I will say the look on Madison's face initially when he was saying all this,
Mhm.
I'm like, "Girl, red flag, wake up."
I
He's
said, well, he's
telling you
gonna get it when
everything,
he gets home.
and
And
then
then was it
okay.
the mom who said, oh, she's fiery and direct? And Joe
Mhm.
says, yeah, like if we're butting heads, I'm not gonna win that. It almost seems like he said I'm not gonna win that, but almost like I don't even want to deal with that type of
Mhm.
energy. And the mom said, well, if she's in a really bad place, hug her and don't stop hugging her.
If you can get that close.
And I said, okay, what if he's in a bad space too and he doesn't want to hug her? Like, can she? I think she just needs to regulate differently.
Then he spills the tea on this 5-year engagement or 5-year relationship, failed engagement, and how they had a date set and then he finally broke it off. Apparently, he was miserable for 5 years. And this is not a red flag to this family.
Well, the mom did say something about it.
She did, but quickly kind of glossed over it to me.
Yeah. She was like, okay, so you're not gonna leave her last minute like you did your ex, and I don't even think he responded.
Oh, he said he wouldn't.
Oh, did he?
He
Okay.
he reassured her that the whole vision thing, he would be there for her, and yeah, to me the family glossed over it. Maybe they were thinking, oh, he was young at the time because if he's 27, maybe that's 21 to 26 ish or 22
Yeah.
to I don't know when this was filmed, but maybe they chalked it up to age.
Hmm.
But to me, that's still a red flag.
Yeah. I don't know. I definitely think it was too. The fact that you were mailing your was he did he say the save the dates or the
Hmm.
invitation? Well, so
Hmm.
it's about within 6 months of it of the day. You know, if it's a save the date, roughly 6 months. If it's the invitation, about 3 months. So you were
Hmm.
really pushing it. I said the sister is very energetic, very energetic.
And for in Joe's position, I'm just like, ooh, this guy. He's
Mm-hmm.
probably thinking, what have I
Probably
got myself,
overwhelmed. Yeah,
yeah, into?
I can imagine.
Yeah.
The mom says she doesn't love easily, so Joe must be very special. And then I put down once the mom said, "You're not gonna last minute blindside her, are you?" I said, "I bet that's exactly what's gonna happen."
Of course it is. Of course.
All right. So then we have the wedding shopping, like the outfits.
Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot on the other than Joe showing out at the shopping, but I didn't have that much. You want to
Yeah.
talk dresses?
Nobody's dressed really well. I mean, Calabria's dress
Mhm.
was kind of cute. I know Edmund's gonna be like, Calabria, dang.
Calabria,
Dang,
damn.
Calabria. Calabria, dang. Yeah. So he'll probably like her in the dress. But
I actually didn't really. I feel
it
like her
was
dress,
okay.
the second one had a lot going on. Like the
Yeah.
bottom had a lot, the middle was lacy. It also had straps. I was like, it was a
I
lot.
can't talk. I mean, people might look at our choices and be like, and they're the ones who are critiquing. Like,
I
you
know,
never know.
right?
To each their own, right? So,
Oh gosh.
but yeah. Calabria's friend at the shopping, like when they asked what she thought about Edmund, and she said,
He's different.
he's different, and they said that they think, or she said she thinks it might. be able like help bring out certain things in Calabria. I don't know. It sounds like when your friend is doing something you don't really agree with, but that's your girl and you're gonna stick beside her. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah. Madison's mom claims she has a good ick reader or meter, and she picks up on nothing with Joe. All good to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, mama.
Joe, is there anything else on the women that you wanted to say? I don't.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
Nothing.
Megan gets emotional again about Luca and his medical situation. I'm over it because let this little boy live.
I know, and I felt bad, but I did write that if I hear type 1 diabetes one more time. But I think because of what had happened the night before, like they had spent the night, he had the machines, it was a lot for her. I think it was a peek
Mm.
into what her life could be. And so after I wrote that comment, I was like, okay, now that I have a little more context, I'll give her a pass this time. But it has been too much for some time.
Oh yeah, and she can't be breaking down like that with him. I have to hold it together.
I know. I
Mm.
know. And then for the men, I said Joe already sounded iffy. Like during the text, because they asked, what was the question that Nick Lachey asked? And he just sounded like,
Oh yeah. Like wait, what? This is happening?
this is a therapy. Like,
It's a lot. It's a
yeah,
lot. I can't believe we're doing this.
yeah. So nothing. Nothing about him said that he was interested, and he was snippy with the lady at the shop when she was trying to get
Oh
more details
yeah.
about what he'd be interested in. It just was
He
not
was being even mean to the friend.
his friends.
Then
Like,
he
we're here for
leaves.
you.
He walks out, leaves them there.
Yeah,
This guy.
and I think okay, he also gives like anxious energy, and so I think him being paired up with Madison, where he has all this anxious energy, and then when she's in her moment, he can't
Hmm.
get an edge in and a word in edgewise, and
Hmm.
now he's having to like suppress his emotions so he can be calm, so that he doesn't make her even more explosive than she already is. I do think this match is too much for him.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And I even of what we've seen of them, I don't even know why they'd work so well.
Hmm.
The chemistry, I just haven't seen it.
I mean, it hasn't been there since the pods. Like since he saw
Yeah.
her, things went down. But now I think it's one thing if someone isn't your normal type physically, but they just align with you very well personality wise. But I think for their situation, it's like a double whammy for him.
And for him, I think my grace goes out of the window with the fact that he's been physical with her this entire time while they've
Mhm.
been out of the pods.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's not a problem that you're not attracted to her,
Yeah.
but one, you're not having that conversation directly enough,
Mm.
and two, you're being physical with her, so that's even worse. So my empathy is,
Yeah.
eh,
Yeah. And then we can go to episode 11 and just stick
yeah,
with Joe and Madison.
yeah.
So this episode starts with her on the floor and she's talking to maybe her mom or
I
somebody.
think she was on the phone with her mom and sister. She
Joe
says Joe
left.
left.
Joe's gone. Which she's done an interview.
Okay.
Yeah, all of them are doing interviews. Which should have told us nothing good is coming out of this season. Because they've all been super vocal
Mm.
about what's going on. Yeah. Okay. So apparently they broke up before this scene and then they had to reenact it once the cameras came. And so that changed things for a lot of people where they were
So,
saying
girl, you was doing all of that.
that acting. But then others were like, okay, well, if it was the night before, it probably was still fresh. And so she still was feeling really teary.
Yeah, okay, the teary part,
Yeah.
fine, but it was another, maybe not begging, but she wants to know why.
Yeah.
Well, if you already had the conversation off camera,
Mhm.
why are you still
She
asking
wants
him why
receipts.
now?
She wants him to say. But it could also explain why he was so over it.
Oh, yeah,
He was so
he
checked
was
out.
like, girl, you doing all this?
Yeah.
You're not gonna hug me, at least?
No, because he doesn't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. Like that's not his place. And that is a tough pill to swallow when something ends. Like you're used to some, or you're used to expecting someone. Because I don't want to say she's used to him doing it, because we've never seen him hug her after any type of disagreement. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just not his responsibility anymore if you're going through a breakup, and that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, so he just basically tells her it's over. He went to the tux fitting, had a meltdown, and you're just not my person. And he would say no at the altar.
And then she said something about, oh, it's just funny that it's on the heels of us running into the singles, which in the interview, I guess they had all gone to the bar after his meltdown
Mm.
at the thing. So she didn't
Oh,
even
so
know about his meltdown. And they were all hanging out. And so he saw some of the singles. Apparently, Casey was really handsy with him.
they belong together. Both
Anyway,
trifle.
I will say it was interesting hearing her say stuff like, okay, so like all the stuff that has happened with us physically, like that's not gonna happen anymore. Are you okay with
Here
me
she
doing
go.
something else like that?
Here she.
I
Uh,
was so irritated. I was like, girl, he clearly is not enough. And
and
it
then she's
never
like,
will be.
"Do you not care about thinking about me with someone?" Girl, he don't care.
Yeah, he said, I mean the physical is fine, but this just doesn't feel right. Like you can't be physical with someone and think that'll make them stay with you through a marriage.
Then she was like, I just think you're all freaked out because of the marriage part. I'm sorry, if y'all had this conversation yesterday, this is a rehashing of the conversation. You're begging this man at this point.
Yeah, like don't tell somebody else what they're freaked out about. Like just take their word for it. And I know it's hard to do. What was interesting though when she was like, "Do you think if this wasn't the process, if it was real life?" And he said, "Honestly, I think we made it a lot farther here than we would have in real life." My mouth was on the floor. I said, "Ooh,
I'm sorry, but I feel bad for her, but I feel like she's walking into this. She's opening the door for this. You keep probing.
yeah, that was tough to watch. That was tough to watch." But yeah, if you cared, you would hug me. Anyway, then she was like, I just wanted to say, you'll always have a place in my heart. I'm so glad it was you, girl. He didn't deserve that. He didn't even deserve a goodbye.
No, stop taking the high road. Just leave him alone. You
Yeah,
go in to give him another hug. This stop touching this man.
leave him be. Anyway, I thought this was as heartbreaking to watch as the Marissa and Ramses one. But then when I found out she was like, this was the second day, I'm
This
like,
was
okay,
acting.
yeah, I'm like, okay,
Yeah. I feel like the emotion of the Marissa and Ramses one
was so real.
was very real. This even before and I think the difference too is Ramses was really into Marissa. Like
Yeah, yeah,
uh, we never got that this man was into her.
ever.
So
Yeah. Okay. So
mhm.
then we have, I guess,
Do
who's
Anton
next?
and Allie.
Yeah, let's do Anton and Allie.
Okay.
Okay. So this is where her mom is. And
Okay.
sorry, this is where we hear about his other career thing
Mm-hmm.
and a real estate investor. So the mom said something about, oh, like you can't be prioritizing your friends or whatever. And I
Mm-hmm.
wondered if Allie had mentioned something to her about,
Mm-hmm.
his friendship
Him
with
being outside.
Black Joe. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But then she also said, the mom also said, yeah, like she's gonna have to clean the house and do this and do
Mm-hmm.
that. Anton said, I love you.
Right. And Allie just sitting there looking like,
If you
hmm,
think I'm picking up a broom and a mop,
huh.
I
You
don't even
think
know
I'm
what a
baking
broom and a mop are.
right? You think I'm baking some chicken? Forget about it. Mm-mm.
Um,
But I will say, I think the conversation where the mom talks about how the sister maybe isn't being as supportive of her in this process,
mhm.
and Allie seems to be down about it. I'm thinking, okay, well, is there a part of Allie that could really see herself saying yes on?
Yeah. And
Because
I
that
thought,
seems to be a pretty serious conversation to have on camera if you're just already are at the point of like, I'm gonna say no to this man
mm-hmm,
anyways. Why would you be pressed about your sister being there to support you
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
if you already have your mom there in the process? I don't know.
Absolutely. And when they were riding the horse later on, it's
Hmm.
like that was when I started to feel like, why aren't we seeing them argue? It feels like they're just getting a weirdly positive edit. And that's what made me start to think about, is she going to be on Perfect Match or something? Like,
It's we're not seeing them argue, but we're seeing, what is it, the precipice? Like we're seeing like right before they would have maybe a
hmm.
very tough conversation, but it never
Yeah,
progresses.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like even
Yeah.
if he brings up the whole, oh, you don't tidy up or like you're not keeping the place clean, at least for your portion of it, it never progresses to, okay, well, what some like what else?
Yeah. And I feel like as an audience, we can see right through it. And we could see right through it from the beginning because we've always said we're not seeing much about this couple. What is going on? Um, okay.
They claim to be twins and how they're so similar. In what way?
I have not seen them be similar in any ways.
Y'all aren't drinking buddies. She don't want to clean up with you. Maybe y'all are twins because y'all both work overnight.
that is that is the only thing we're seeing in common. Yeah, yeah,
You're not from the same culture.
yeah. Mm.
You don't speak the same language. You say you want traditional values. She don't say a word.
He wants traditional values when it comes to him.
Yeah. On her part, she's like,
Yeah.
I want to go to school, expand my career. And I love that. Be ambitious, girl, but don't sit there and pretend like you're going to uphold the end of the bargain that we could already tell he's expecting.
Hmm, hmm.
If you know you're not gonna do it.
Yeah. Okay. I
Anyways.
don't remember when this was, but she said something about there's a fine line between compromise and staying in something that's never going to work.
Oh, that was after the horse ride when they were having this like little picnic in
Yeah.
the snow mountains. Yeah. He was talking about how basically like you shouldn't give up so soon. You should try and compromise and work through issues. I think they both have a point, but I think it only applies if you're motivated to make it work.
Yeah.
So,
With this person.
mhm.
I guess we could talk about Calabria and Edmund, and then we can end with Jordan and Megan.
Yeah,
Okay. So, Calabria and Edmund.
asking for a foot massage again.
They I started writing on them when they went up the mountain.
Oh, the jet ski thing. Yeah.
Whatever it was. I don't know. I didn't know if it was
Mhm.
called jet ski since it's not on water, but is it? I don't know what it's
But
called.
isn't it on ski? The bottom of it is a ski, right?
I don't
We
know.
don't know. We don't live where it snows like
Right.
that.
Obviously.
And we don't like cold weather,
We've been to the beach.
right?
That's all we know. But y'all let us know, please. Educate us
Yeah.
kindly. All right. So when they got up the mountain and he said, like, when he said thanks for the hot chocolate, she was like, oh, I'm gonna go get hot chocolate. She
Hmm.
goes, and when she comes and he says thanks, her response to the thanks, I was like, okay, something's wrong. Like either she's upset
Hmm.
that he didn't come in with her to get the hot chocolate or something. I'm like, something is off.
And
And
he's
then
just like, oh, it's so beautiful.
oblivious.
He don't.
And I can see that. That is irritating. Like, you don't see stuff that's wrong with me, but you have to be in the
But
moment.
he also
Use your
has this
words.
breathtaking view in front of him.
He's living in the
So,
moment. How can you be mad at him taking in the beauty that is before him? You know, you can't even be mad
mhm.
at that. But then she steps down and she said, well,
Mhm.
thanks for helping me step down.
It's like, girl, I thought you were the one to address the elephants in the room. Just say how you feel. Which he should have helped her down, but just say how you feel.
Oh, gosh. That was funny. All
Oh,
right. So apparently something happened before they got on the snowmobile. Snowmobile. That's what
oh,
it's called.
snowmobile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently something happened. And then he doesn't address it or they don't have a resolution. But then once he
Mm-hmm.
gets on the thing, he's excited about the ride. And she takes
Yeah.
that as
You're
you're
being
acting
fake.
like it didn't even happen. And you're
And
turning
how
on
he's a different
the camera.
person off camera, like, oh, all
Yes.
of a sudden now you're excited.
Yes.
Now, I wanted to talk through this disagreement that they supposedly had in the car because I wanted to make sure I understood the context of why she was upset.
Okay.
So it sounded at it as if he was having a conversation with production or someone about what the bachelor party would be, and it was another rodeo cowboy theme. He was saying, well, I don't want to do that again. I already did that for the couples get together. Like, we should do something different. She interjects and is like, no, babe, you should be fine with it. Let it go. And he was like, no, 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 I don't want to hear it. I want to talk about what I
We're
want the
off.
theme
Yeah.
to be. And there's apparently another person in this conversation with Edmund. Is that what happened?
It sounds like it. I don't know what she was interjecting to say, but she was trying to give her opinion on something and she felt dismissed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the, okay. I
Something
got
like
that right.
that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Okay. And so he didn't feel like he had done anything wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but she clearly did. And so she wants him to take accountability for what he did, but he's not seeing what he did, so he can't be accountable for it.
And he said, I'm not
And
going to apologize.
yes, and she wants an apology for it. And so then they get into this battle, which I think a lot of people have been there where it's like I don't necessarily think I did it, like you tripping a little bit. I don't think I did anything wrong, and the other person is in their feelings because they're like, you clearly did this wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't even think that the things that they talk about are so far-fetched. I just think any small thing with them gets blown out of proportion.
Well, yeah. So
No.
I was thinking if I understand the context of her feeling dismissed, right? In whatever he was talking about with this person about the bachelor party. Um, in my mind, that's not nothing. I don't know. I'm just kind of like these seem to be small
That you can get
tips
over.
that
Yes.
you can get over. Like, okay, you may have felt like, oh, you dismissed me, but you know you're going on a field trip. So I don't understand why you can't go on the field trip, enjoy it, and give it time. One, I don't think is anything to be in your feelings about, but she can be in her feelings about whatever. But is it to the point where you have to have an attitude the whole time and you better apologize to me right now? I'm
You
not connecting the dots on it.
and you know what I wonder? Okay. I wonder if when you're in a relationship for an extended period of time,
Hmm.
you kind of learn, okay, this is just something to
Yeah.
like, you know, whatever. It happened.
Hmm.
I'm gonna tell you it happened. We can move forward. This isn't a big enough situation that we're about to not talk for a few days or whatever. Like,
Hmm. Yeah.
I think when you've been in a relationship long term, it's easy to distinguish between one and the other or the other. But maybe because they're so new and still figuring things out, like I'm trying to figure out why.
So I agree. I think the longer you're in a relationship, you just maybe become better at navigating conflict with your person.
Yeah,
But I also think
hopefully.
too, you there is a certain level of patience, meaning like you can say something to me and I felt dismissed by it, right?
Hmm.
But even if I don't haven't known you for very long, I think that you would be patient to sit with your feelings and like replay what happened and
Hmm.
like do a bit of self-reflection of okay, if this person isn't who normally would apologize, right?
Hmm.
Isn't apologizing, why
Yeah.
is that? So I think both things are true. They're way
Yeah.
too new. And then she's like quick to want to address that. I'm not going to be fake. You want to pretend like everything is okay. When I think it's okay to just sit in what happened, replay what happened, and acknowledge the fact that
Address
my
it later.
person is typically would apologize for their mishaps or wrongs. So let me do some self-reflection. And if a day passes, 2 days passes, and I still
Hmm.
feel a way, then address it then. And my emotions are lower, their emotions are lower. I,
Yeah,
so
I agree. It's almost like they're very new, but then also not new enough. Like as you were talking, I'm like, okay, yes, the thing with if you're in a relationship long term, you can distinguish, but then also if it's brand new, you kind of give the benefit of the doubt. I feel like they're at this awkward spot where they're not brand spanking new, but they don't have a lot of time in.
And when you have more time in, you're thoughtful maybe about intent, meaning like I could say something to Samaria and on the surface it could be taken as, oh, you're being rude or whatever, but because she knows my intent and my heart,
Yeah.
it probably would never even come up because she'd be like, oh, I know her heart, she loves
She
me
didn't even
and
mean it like
didn't
that.
mean it that way.
Yeah.
And even still, like, you would still take probably some time to reflect to be like, okay, maybe I do need to address it. But
Yeah.
when I'm feeling, you know,
Yes.
not so ramped up. And so her thing is, she doesn't want to gloss over things. She wants to address it when she wants to address it. Um, she starts yelling, and he very calmly says, "You're yelling at me."
Yeah.
And it's as animated as he is, he's very measured in how he responds to her and the tone in which she's talking to him.
Because he could have the if she had the man who she wants who would fight in the club.
Baby, this conversation, one of them would have been off the mountain. Listen,
Yeah, he says like you cut me off all the time.
which we've been seeing it.
You cut me off
Guilty
all
as charged.
the time. But
So
obviously, she says something during this scene that is just like, you are crossing all the lines.
yeah, what did she said? So she was getting upset. She was like, because I'm
Stop calling me the
frustrated. Yeah, she calls him the B word. He still remains calm.
Listen, you could say he needs to grow up in a lot of ways, whatever. But I think he just gave you a class on being way better than an adult because most adults wouldn't even be as
The
contained as
fact
he
that
was.
he's actually sat there and let her finish. And then she also framed it as, it's because you were pushing me.
I'm sorry, or isn't she she's a social worker, but you're in charge of your own actions. Don't put that on him.
Like, whatever the lead up was, in this moment, he was relatively calm. So I just didn't, her reaction wasn't matching the offense.
Exactly. Because he didn't do any she just didn't like what he was saying. That's really it. She didn't like what he was saying. He wasn't saying what she wanted to hear. And that is what.
So someone dismisses you in a conversation earlier in the day. Okay, you're in your feelings. Maybe you have a few things built up, but
Mhm.
nothing up to this point, Gabe. You should be calling somebody out of their name, which you shouldn't do it anyways. But
Mhm.
maybe if he said, "Yo, mama," da 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 da, then maybe, maybe.
Yeah. And like you said, okay, if this were a one-off thing, it would be so easy to be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for being dismissive." Obviously, he didn't mean to be dismissive to her, right? But back to back, like he's having to apologize for so many different things where he doesn't even feel like he's doing anything wrong per se. I think it was just too much to I think he's frustrated.
And if the conversation went with this other person the way that it sounds, she was interjecting
Again,
again, and he's like, "No, I want this to be handled the way I want it to be handled."
don't
So
speak for me. I'm not a child.
if that's what she meant by being dismissive and he was ignoring her, I'm like, "Well, he's an adult."
Stay out. Look, stay out of grown folks' business. No, I'm just kidding. But no,
But
like
I can
give him
see
a
her
chance.
I could see her being like, "No, it should have been like this," or "You need to hear my opinion on whatever."
Yeah.
And I don't think your partner or even friends
Hmm.
where it's like, "Oh yeah, I have to hear your opinion on everything."
You're not this man's savior. Believe it or not, Calabria, he has, it seemed, lived a decent adult life without you, where he was able to control and take care of whatever things were going on in his environment. So you don't need to step in. And honestly, I think she needs to realize like this could be a benefit to her. Like if you just let Edmund do what Edmund is capable of doing as an adult, then you don't have to feel so stressed and so in your feelings all the time. And obviously they're not going to work, but she needs to learn that going into her next situation.
Well, the next morning, he shows up to the apartment with flowers, which I figured he would be the one to apologize because he really wants to be loved. He really wants this to work. He apologizes for ignoring her, says he doesn't want to lose her. She says she's torn. I don't know why. Break up with this man if you don't want him, and you've seen enough.
She on her Latoya Luckett, torn in between the two.
She says she's close to being done.
Yeah.
I wrote he's a bit desperate for love. Even with all of the disrespect, the tone,
Yeah.
he's still willing to give it a shot. And then she says, yeah, you walked in like the man I knew you were, or you apologized like a man. That's what I need.
Yeah, it's getting hard to watch because this isn't a healthy dynamic. And I want out of it at this point, and I'm so glad that we get the wedding episode soon. She said something that had me side eyeing. She said, I didn't have any patience before you. I said, is the patience in the room with us? Because when did it show up? I didn't see it walk in. Where is the now? Okay, she was very patient with him, I think, early on.
Oh, in the pods.
Yeah, in the pods, and even
that's where the patience ended.
But I think even in Mexico there was patience, but the patience that she gives him comes off as like the patience you would give a child. Like, I know you don't know any better, so let me be patient with you, and that's just not sustainable in a romantic relationship.
And I'll say I stand by the Edmund for the most part. I think that she's getting outside of pods is the Edmund that was in the pods. It's just obviously she can see him. I think the reverse is flipped. I think in the pods, she was maybe more understanding of him in general as a person. And then now that she's having to navigate what's right in front of her, it's really revealing that the amount of patience that she may have had in the pods only applied there, not
And
in
that's
the real world.
okay. It's not a sustainable relationship for her. So stop being torn and leave.
And the thing I also didn't like was in the end, to me, she didn't really have a whole lot of accountability.
None.
Other than her basically saying like, oh, I know I'm not patient. She still, she does apologize for the cursing. And she says, oh, but that's not me. But essentially alluding to you bought it out of me. So it was like a backhand. Girl, you need to go take a class on apologizing.
Please. So that your children, your future children who you have, hopefully not with Edmund, don't have to deal with a parent who doesn't apologize.
Which, by the way, y'all can go back in the archives. We have a whole podcast episode on apologizing.
Andrew, but yeah, last Love is Blind season, we talked about what seemed like an agenda to like put forth this like everybody's a Christian, even though they were in very liberal Minneapolis, right? And so I always just have to question Love is Blind's decision to show this dynamic between the Black couple that falls into a lot of tropes that are out there. And so I'm like, okay, Love is Blind, I have my eye on you. Not too many more seasons of this being what's glorified, or what's highlighted, especially with the difference in how much they show that with like Allie and Anton or whatever, it rubs me a little bit wrong, but I don't want to be, the person who's like, oh, there's a conspiracy here all the time.
Yeah.
But we can notice trends.
Oh yeah, I think Love is Blind is definitely going to tell the story that they want to be told, while, the people are giving them the footage, but I think the final cut decisions
Yeah.
can be questioned. So,
All right. So anyway,
yeah.
with Calabria and Edmund, I just feel like she doesn't see him as a man, generally, but then especially when he messes up, and I think that is dangerous. I think you still have to hold him in high regard and be respectful even during those times. And I get it. Sometimes it's hard, but when you respect somebody, it shouldn't be this level of I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
No.
it's hard.
Well, even the way she's treating him is like, does that transfer to your friends,
Yeah.
family? I don't know.
Yeah. So anyways, that's what we have for this. Do you want to do
Oh,
predictions on the couple?
Megan
Oh,
and Jordan, real
oh,
quick.
we didn't talk about them. Oh my god.
Yeah, so we can kind of, it's not that much, but the spiritual reading, I don't have much on that.
She's into
Uh
numerology, which is like
oh
the
yeah.
numbers thing with her home.
Yeah, so they talk about that at the hat making. He's just like, okay, girl,
I'm not
whatever.
into it.
Yeah.
Okay. But the big issue with them is he's more quiet than she expected, which I can see this coming up since their initial interactions with each other were like in the pause and there was so much conversation. So I can see
Mhm.
how it's like, oh wait, this is different and he's settling into normal life now with her.
Mhm.
So he's talking less. I think Megan just needs to accept that he's an introvert and there are different levels to being an introvert and she just
Mhm.
needs to adapt to his.
So I think they both need to adapt. I
Mm,
think on the one hand, he's not talking as much, but I think also what he's not sharing. So
yeah,
like,
I do have a
you
note
know,
on that.
she wants to know, well, what about your day? You spend so much time at work.
What
What do
you
you
doing?
do? What's the office drama?
Yeah.
So I think she's wanting to know more about what his during the day life is like, because I think maybe a part of her feels like she just doesn't know that side of him, and
Yeah.
he doesn't want to talk about it at all. And
Mhm.
so I think for him, if he's in a high stress situation, I could understand not wanting to bring too much of that home, while at the same time I could understand from her perspective, like your whole day just feels like a black hole, like nothing.
Mhm.
So I think they can both make some adjustments there. And then I also think it's just they're very different. Like their day-to-day lives seem to be very different. Their financial situations are different.
Yeah.
One is a parent, one isn't. I mean,
And that comes up because, she talks about not wanting a complete lifestyle overhaul just because she's getting married. And I think she deserves to have what she wants. She likes to travel and she wants him to be a part of that. They're just at different places in their lives. So for him, if he has a small child, like this isn't a teenager where it's like, okay, maybe we can leave them or we can, I don't know. She wants to still go out this weekend or take this trip and all of that, and he just might not be able to because his circumstances don't allow that,
even down to like schedule though, because she was saying like, oh, her day may consist of I'm gonna go to LA for Tuesday through Wednesday, but then Thursday during the day I'm off playing tennis, and
right.
so it's like I could see from his perspective,
Hmm.
she has a certain level of financial freedom
Flexibility.
and flexibility, and like he's working maybe like a normal middle class
Yeah.
9 to 5 job. And
Yeah.
so he may feel like, girl, you're not going to be able to relate to me because I can't go to pickleball with you randomly during the week.
Yeah.
And so I can see him not wanting to share as much because he may feel like, how could she realistically relate to me? While at the same time, her feeling like, well, I don't want to completely change my flexibility because you're locked down with your schedule.
And if this were a real world situation, I'm trying to think. Like, could it have worked out? Could they have found a way? Like, okay, Megan, you just gonna have to go out with your girls. It can't be couple stuff all the time, and you're just gonna have to be able to go to pickleball and do things on your own. And Jordan, yeah. I wonder if they had more time, if they could have figured it out. But it just seems like at their ages, um, you know what you want and you know what you don't want to give up. And this just seems like a mismatch. It always has.
What do you think about he said something like,
The nanny thing.
well, yeah, one, the nanny thing about him wanting to raise his own kid, but it was something about not his boat being bigger than hers. Oh, she said that you're always tired, and she felt like it was an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
It seems like Jordan leaves his house and goes to his job and comes home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is one of those things that Megan just can't relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Just even sitting in traffic to go to work and then sitting in traffic and coming back from work. And then, if I have Luca that night, I just think it was a thing she couldn't relate to. Like, yeah, I'm always tired. I'm working a 9 to 5, sis.
Yeah. And
Um,
everything else I need to get done in my life has to happen super early or
yeah,
super late
yeah.
on top of being a parent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he's splitting it 50-50, that's a good amount of time.
Even finding time to go to the gym after work, like it's tough.
And yeah, she can't relate to him and he can't relate to her. He even said something about, we're not in the same boat. Your boat is bigger than mine.
And if he's gonna keep making comments like that,
What did he say? Taking a 5-year-old to Italy sounds like a nightmare.
I don't have kids, so I don't want to comment.
But I think both of them need a reality check. Like for him, Jordan, if you really feel like you can be with her, you're going to have to be accepting and not salty about the flexibility
Yes,
of
she.
her lifestyle and everything that can come with that. And I think from her perspective, she's going to have to understand that he may not be able to do everything with her when
Mhm.
she's able to do it. Not just because of the child, but just because of the constraints of just a normal daily life where most people don't have the flexibility to do the things that she's able to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know.
Anyway, I was rooting for them. I think if they can figure this out, then they can still get married. It is just a lot, though, to work through.
As I said, I think I said it a couple recaps ago that I think they're just too far on each end of the spectrum.
For sure.
Not even just the financial thing is one thing, but it'd be one thing if, say she had all this wealth, but she herself had to be like in a more structured schedule. She may be able to relate to him more. Or say
Yeah.
she had a kid and he had a kid.
Hmm.
It's like
Hmm.
they're both gonna have to make pretty big jumps, I think, to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
So
But we thought that in the beginning. And it's like
we
in
did.
the middle, I think, seeing how well they got along, seeing how much they bought into it, it was starting to become a thing of, oh, maybe they'll be able to make it work, but
Hmm.
it's always been too much. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I agree.
that's it for this recap. We'll see y'all after the weddings.
Yeah.
And Married at First Sight
Yeah.
starts this week. So on
Hmm.
Peacock, and we're gonna be reviewing it. We just have to figure out the schedule because
Oh, yes, a
we'll
lot of
probably do several
episodes.
episodes at once, like whatever they drop, similar to Love
Hmm.
is Blind. So yeah, tune in if you're a Married at First Sight person. If you're not, there's no time like the present to hop on. It seems like it's gonna be a
Yeah.
fun
Even
season.
if y'all just watch our reviews, y'all don't have to watch the show.
Yes. But yeah, we'll see y'all on the next one. Bye.
Bye.